Oh, hello. Looks like some people actually snuck in. Feel free to say hi in the chat. And if you have any questions about Dual Universe, please feel free to dump them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. Just out of curiosity, since I'm kind of new to this whole setup, can everybody hear me? Just say something in chat if you can actually hear my voice. Awesome. So, welcome to the stream, Twistedly Sweet. Have you ever seen Dual Universe before? It's been around for a few years, and it's actually kind of a semi-dead game. It's only running on private servers now. Hello, Tilt's Playground. What do you mean by semi-slow? Well, part of what you're looking at here is I have a fairly large manufacturing facility. There's a lot of players with a lot of dedicated manufacturing capacity for doing things like building ships. One of the coolest things about the game, in my opinion, is that you pretty much custom build your ships from scratch. All of the body areas, this is kind of my normal daily driver here. The ship bodies themselves are basically all hand built. Everything is built out of, like, think of it like Minecraft, but you're using 10 centimeter cubes. So there's a lot more detail possible, and you've got tools that will allow you to make slopes and curves and things like that. Honestly, my ships are kind of rudimentary, but tell you what, I'll go grab my little shuttle here, and I will take you over to the local market, and you can kind of see what some of the cooler ships look like. Ships come in 5 sizes. This is what would be called a small core. That little scooter that was sitting over next to my ship would be an extra small. But let's see here. Set my destination for the market and throttle up. This is true. It's more of a bragging rights and cool points. Here you can see one of my neighbors that actually has a far more elaborate base than I. Pivot around so you can see him. Throttle down so I don't cook myself in the atmosphere. And over here to the left, you can see these 2 towers. Those are, some of the ships have anti-grav hover systems. And they tend to hover right at about 1,000 meters. So those are 1,000-meter tall towers designed to act as docking points for anti-grav ships. Another little base down there. Ah, there you can actually see a couple of the ships that are in the grav hover mode. So those ships will just sit there indefinitely, even when you log off. One of the other fun things, you know, when you talk about physics, ships can very much glide as long as you are over a certain amount of speed. Your wings will generate thrust and/or lift, which will then contribute to your flight speed and all that kind of fun stuff. This particular facility that I'm coming up on here is kind of the agreed upon main marketplace. There wasn't necessarily like a designated place that was supposed to be the primary market. It's just kind of where everybody conglomerated. Nope, it is not available on Steam. The client software is a one-time purchase, but it is not a. It's like $27 or something like that, I think. Um, and there's no subscription required for the private servers where it is running. Look for it on Marquee Dragon. I think that it's a little bit cheaper there. And I'm not throwing you links or anything. I don't get anything out of it. I just know that that's one of the sources for it. Sometimes they do run a other specials. Now, obviously, you saw my ship sitting at my base. There are quite obviously people who are way better shipbuilders than myself. At least their ships look a heck of a lot nicer. I'm not even sure how this guy gets into his ship. Oh, I bet, yeah. Ah. He doesn't let you go explore his ship. Some people are really cool and they have it all set up. There's like ramps. They're like, look at this. That's pretty. Some of it's probably me also. I'm on Starlink. I live out in the boonies. So every once in a while it gets a little overwhelmed. But yeah, see, you can see that some people have ships that are far more elaborate and decorated and all that kind of fun stuff. I tend to make fairly utilitarian ships. Yeah, some of these displays are actually functional. You can that these are actually showing fuel levels and damage component lists and all that kind of fun stuff. Up for passengers. Oh, we got a little like little staterooms or little offices. Very cool. Bathrooms, tables. I'm kind of curious where his, we might not be able to see his bridge. This is probably another back down to the ground. He must have another entrance set up that's locked down for the moment. Well, we will wander out of this one for a minute. Let's go see what this guy is over here. Ooh, that guy's a little banged up. Those need to be replaced, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would repair it for him. That might be why he's here. Might be here buying parts. This is a fun little point of reference here. These are all atmospheric engines. These only work in the atmosphere of a planet. And these out here are your space engines, which will not engage until you are at less than 10% atmosphere density. Yes, indeed. He's got a very, very nice ship. Let's see if we can get into this one here, too. Let's see, radars and guns of some sort. I believe that's actually one of the heavy lasers. That up there is the cannon type guns. Yeah, on all of these ship designs, things like the placement of thrusters and that type of thing all actually matter. Their positioning will affect how well they work as far as to help pivot the ship. For example, these little maneuvering thrusters out here, they will be more effective out on the end of a wing as opposed to closer in. They will still apply thrust, but won't have as much leverage to do that. Another fancier ship here. Okay, this guy's actually got ramps down. That's cool. And, oh, hey, busted stuff. I can fix that. This would be the main pilot seat right here. It's got the little emergency autopilot button, probably to retract the ramps. This is an interesting touch, how he put his little accessory cruise stations at an angle. This is a VR station so that you can remote into to do some types of work in other stations and such. Container relay, that basically is a little tool for consolidating your cargo modules so that you can access multiple cargo modules from one connection. Not a whole lot else going on here, but hey, it's still a nice looking ride. Yeah, it does a lot of things. As far as the physics go, um, I'm going to stop moving around just for a little bit and chat. The stuff like dihedral is an issue. Um, Air resistance is probably one of the biggest ones. Gravity is a thing you actually need to be very much aware of. If you are flying in at a planet, especially as you start getting closer, you will start accelerating at the planet because gravity is going to pull you towards it. And if you hit the atmosphere going more than about 1200, 1300 kph, you're going to start taking damage. One of the standard jokes in this game is if there was a kill board, gravity would be number one by a mile. So, not able to see a lot more there, but just another example. It's of a nicer looking ship. See if we can find somebody else that'll let us explore a little bit. This one here is actually part of a standard design. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it is one of the little standard designs, as is this guy right here. This is basically like a little space bike. Let me see if there's... actually, he does... Yeah, he does have a space engine on there. So these little guys, you can actually take off and fly them around, and you can fly them up into orbit, even fly them to the next planet. As long as you got fuel, you are golden. And it's really easy to carry some extra fuel in your backpack and stuff like that if you're riding one of those. This is somebody's little scoot me around here. Probably just uses it for flying over to the market and such. Those all look like the atmospheric engines. Oh, wait, maybe. Yeah, that's an Atmo. These are those are all Atmo engines. Mission terminal. Oh, he's got a little cargo box here, so he can probably carry, a couple tons of cargo. Good for picking up little stuff. Okay, we already looked at that one, already looked at this one. This is basically the same thing as that one was over on the other side. It's just got a different color scheme. This is actually a fairly common standard design. A lot of people have them. I guess I could walk around in them too. I do dig the bridge on these. I think this is a really nice looking control place. Oh, looks like he's got a pretty nice little... oh, he just changed the color scheme on on one of the standard interface mods. Now, this is one that somebody's got the... one of the neat things in the game is that you can purchase plans from other people. And basically, this little device here is called a dispenser. So I could actually buy a set of deck plans that if I collected up all of the relevant pieces, I can then just deploy a copy of the ship. So it's really, really nice if you want to look into it. Ooh, we got one of the larger cannon units on there, so that'll help discourage unfriendlies. This is going to be another very nice, very elaborately drawn up ship. Looks like he's got the full HUD systems and map tools and all kinds of other stuff already loaded on here. Very nice looking ride. And we can go to the back here. It's got these little force field covers. That's kind of neat. Cargo containers. This is Basically, these are medium fuel tanks, but the lines here are just decorative. Nice application of that kind of decor, though. Same thing, another functional panel. Keep going back here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is the one for sale, so they actually have the doors all open so you can see things. Yes, you can absolutely save time and share with others. One of the other things that I'll show you here real quick is the Alioth Marketplace. There is a whole buying and selling facility here. I think there's at least one other person running around here. I saw somebody run by a minute ago. Oh, there he was. He just went down. Now, if we go here, all of the route plotting and stuff is actually done with, or primarily with your keyboard. There are some more elaborate HUD systems that will do some of the course plotting to other planets and stuff for you. Some of them are pretty snazzy and even have navigation tools that can literally fly you at appropriate speeds into the atmosphere and land you at a specific location on the planet. They're a little more difficult to manage, but they are out there. And some of them, because, honestly, this game used to be had a lot more people playing it, and a lot of the people, when it kind of went to private servers only, a lot of them quit, and along with them went a lot of the people that were maintaining some of the HUD systems and some of the cooler tools. If you have any skills at programming whatsoever, and or the game has a whole elaborate set of Lua scripting that can be modified to make your own interfaces, to make all kinds of useful tools. So just as for example, I'll just drop out of that for a second. I can bring up the map and go to, system map, and here's all of the planets in the game. So if I wanted to go to Talamai, I can click on there, I do a little right click, set as warp point. I can then use my faster than light drives to go zooming over there. The warp drives take a more expensive fuel type called warp cells. They're a little more difficult to manufacture, or at least a little more expensive to manufacture. Whereas you can fly in normal space, but it might take an hour of real time to get out there. So sometimes I've actually had times where I fired up the old engines and got up to a hefty speed, and then just let it coast for 40 minutes while I watch a TV show or go make myself something to eat or whatever. And they are in the process of making some additional solar systems. So that's kind of in the works. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, if ever, but I know it's kind of on their roadmap. There are also, if you can't really see them on here, but there are asteroids that float around. One of the things that you can get is there's a little device that you can manufacture called a deep space asteroid tracker, and you mount it on your ship. And once you've got it set up, you can use it to hunt for asteroids. And you actually have to burrow down into the asteroids. And you can harvest raw materials. Most of the mining is actually, there's mining units that you set up on the surface, and they will just kind of sit there chewing away 24/7, bringing up ore. It's not necessarily really, really fast, but it's steady and it'll get you where you need to go. Um, but the starting planets are very limited in what raw materials. The company is still supporting it to a degree. They're not making content for it. They're not fluffing it anymore. But for example, a security issue did come up a few weeks ago, where someone discovered an exploit, and the people managing the private servers, said, "Hey, help!" And they did roll out a patch for the game to correct that security issue. So they're not completely ignoring it, and I figure the more people that are going in and purchasing at least purchasing copies of the client, that they will be more prone to keep supporting it. But you've got a lot of private community going on as well. I'm not sure exactly what degree they have control over. I know they have a lot of content from the server side, so they can do a lot of modifications to the planets and things like this, marketplace, things like that. If they wanted to draw it in a different building, they could, or take away a bunch of the little market stations, they could. But anyway, market. You can click on here, and some of the stuff, for example, if you needed ore, for example, I could actually kind of use a little bit of chromite ore. I can look on here and, ooh, nobody is selling any. And then there are people that have requests in. They're saying that they will buy up to 1 million liters of chromite ore, and that they're willing to pay 15 credits per unit. Let's see, like here's a limestone. Nobody's necessarily got any particular buy orders, but if I wanted some, I could just click on here, buy it, put in how many I need. There's the sell price each. So if I needed 10,000 liters, and then it will show me a price, and I click on buy, boom, it's mine. I've actually got a few market orders up here. Yeah, it looks like some people have bought some stuff. But you can also go in, and they have all kinds of different things, like like you saw those storage containers that are scattered all over my base. So I could go in here and look for extra large containers, just a standard XL right there, and they are 196,000 a piece, and there are 22 available at that price. So if I wanted to say, okay, I need 2 XL containers, boom, they are there. And I think I forgot to change over my, I don't think they'll fit, yeah. So I have to run back to my ship, set my ship as my default cargo storage area. Ooh, that's pretty. I don't think I came over and looked at this one. Hello, Earth to keyboard. Wireless keyboard is having a moment here. There we go. Hangar bay. Oh. I know that there are a couple of like elevator type things that people have done. This might actually be a device that the whole bay floor drops down. Oh, I like this. It's pretty. Bridge and control areas, cargo areas. Ooh, I like the animation. That's a nice touch. Yeah, You can get screens that you can add in your own little animated GIF type stuff on there, and or upload pictures. Oh, looks like they even made themselves a little medical bay. That's kind of cute. Okay, little bridge area. Nice. Custom interface. Yeah, where you see that says, oh, that's a Deep Space Asteroid Tracker module right there. Obviously, somebody's played the game. Um, I don't have it as a saved favorite container link because I have several ships and I don't always have them all set as favorite containers. You could very well be correct. I am not a Lua guy, so I'm usually kind of trying to utilize the tools of others. But if there is a handy Lua method for creating some of the animated signage, yay to them. Okay, Great Sardini and oh, Flight HUD. Darth Shell HUD screen, ship monitor. All handy notes to have. Engineering floor. Got mission terminals. All kinds of fun stuff going on here. So, once again, if anybody has any questions that I can answer, hey, throw them in the chat. If you have questions about Aslan, or about Lua, I would imagine talk to Aslan because I have a suspicion he's probably way better at it than me. Huh. Another cute little ship over here. Ah, there's the door. Yep, door's locked. They won't let me look. That may be the case. I know I've done a little bit of wreck hunting. It is kind of fun. But I don't know all the details of all of the wrecks available. Okay, that one's not me. Where did I put my ship? I parked in Mickey 7. It's running all the way around. Ooh, somebody's got a big ship sitting out here. Okay, go back over there, see if I can actually cram one of those big containers on the ship. Otherwise, I would have to come back another time with one of my larger ships to pick up my purchases. Anyway, I was just basically flying over here to show people the market. Okay, yay! We can kind of ignore the fact that it's letting me put extra large containers into a ship that only uses small containers for its cargo. I guess they fold up. Hey, there's somebody else. Oh, this is kind of cute. Somebody built a Warhammer 40K tank. Yeah, just to give you some examples of the kind. Oh, hey, and it's got actual guns for its gun mounts. That's kind of styling. I like it. Does have all the engines. You know, that very well could be. There is an Easter egg event going on right now, and I hadn't seen any. Then again, I haven't exactly been looking all that hard. Oh, there's somebody else taking off and flying out. You can see him flying away. Off into the distance. Oof. Back in the regular MMO server days, there used to be a lot of, people were saying, how come things are just randomly, my ship just randomly exploded, and we're quite sure that most of it was people flying in and out of the starbase, the marketplaces like this. Sometimes you would have several ships lifting off and touching down every minute. And I suspect that a lot of them were just collisions that nobody saw because they were moving so fast that you didn't have a chance to see the other guy before he even, basically the game couldn't even draw him in fast enough for it not to, for you to see it before you collided with it. Okay. Engines up. Whee! Fortunately, you can't hit the trees. It won't let you. So, once again, you can see here's a nice view of some player group that was putting together basically a little city almost. Mattis, man, you're out there a little bit. Hopefully you got a warp drive. flying home, just moseying along. There's another one of those anti-grav towers. I actually have one myself. When I fly by, I'll get in there where we can see it. Go ahead and throttle my engines down since I'm almost home. I don't blame them. Crashing into trees would suck. Okay, you can kind of see that little square out there in the distance that is my my little gravity dock. Once you get up close, you'll be able to see that there's a little thin, spindly tower that's holding it all up. I just kind of drew in a little itty bitty column. You don't have to make sure that it's all properly supported or anything. You just you can see that I do have a ship that's sitting up there. It's basically just kind of a little cube with some engines on it. Oops. That was some less than stellar piloting. Brakes, 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 brakes. Like I said, number one on the kill board around here would be gravity. And here's my base. Bring it down to a little low-level hover there. I mean, that was just kind of an example of, you know, a little shopping trip. But there are quite a few things to do in the game. There's a bunch of little, there's hauling missions that you can do, and you do get paid, and that's one of the ways that people make money in here. Gives you something to keep yourself busy. Okay, brakes and setting her down. We'll run over to my storage unit, storage and drop off those containers. And yeah, this was another little market hauler for hauling ore around. This is my asteroid miner that I take out to go mining. Yeah, this one can do it just fine, but I don't know. Having more volume is always nice. It's got a little bit better lift ratio than the other one. This here is kind of like a little ore scanner sled. I can load it up on one of my ships and haul it out to a planet if I'm going to go surveying for ore. And this over here, although it is not pretty, is just kind of my first experiment in making a large core ship. And in this particular case, I was going for one that was kind of a carrier type ship. As you can see, we've got these big open bays. I'm actually working on doors that will cover a lot of that. But just as a fun, for example, this little guy right here will fit in this bay. So hypothetically, this big ship can carry 4 of these. I do have a little space station that I'll run out and show you here in a few minutes. This is actually flown up to that space station carrying other fighters and stuff that I've built that are not atmosphere capable, which is part of the reason why I had built this carrier ship, is just being able to haul other ships up there. That way they don't have to have atmospheric engines, and having no atmospheric engines makes those ships much lighter, much more fuel efficient, all that kind of fun stuff. And they can spend their white on other useful things like ammunition and guns and shields. Yeah, I actually have a space-only version of this guy that's got a couple of guns on it and a shield. So it actually makes kind of going for the little Deep Space Nine runabout type effect. But this guy right here, whoops, guess I can get up here. I am set up for this thing to be armed. It's got 8 small cannons and 2 large railguns on it. Fun note, yeah, kind of made a little armored bunker that my ammo and stuff is in. Although I should put a roof on it in case it gets hit from the top. These are all engines. They're kind of set up to be flush mounted from the bottom. I'm going to kind of make a big cabinet over these at some point. Have a little area up here. I had some chairs up here. I moved them around. That way you could hypothetically kind of be standing here at the front windows and looking out the front as we're flying along. And then this is like the actual little bridge area, which once again is in basically a little armored box. And then this gunnery seat is the aft cannon station. This is the forward cannon station. And this one here is the railgun station. And then the pilot seat. But of course, when you get in the pilot seat, it switches to like an outside view. So you can kind of see what you're doing. A couple of cargo containers. More vertical boost action there. The anti-grav drive. That's what allows, so this thing can hover indefinitely at 1,000 meters up. Shield generator. And engines. We have many, many, many engines. We love them. And I got a couple of little elevators that can hop around to different areas of the ship. For example, I have a little observation deck on top. So hypothetically, I could be hauling a bunch of passengers and they can see what's going on around them and have a lovely view of a couple of forward cannons and rail guns in the event that there was a battle going on. This is, oops, hey, I fell down. Um, in the event that there was a battle, that little bubble, this little bubble here, is inside the shields. So as long as the shields are up, they don't have to worry about getting splattered. These are all brakes, maneuvering thrusters, yeah, aft cannons. This is part of the engines. The engines don't necessarily have to be all enclosed. Some people like making them pretty. My little player group is Marrowstone Logistics. Yeah, I've actually got it on the roof of the building, so if people fly over, they can see it. I guess we can go ahead and fly up here. I don't know about why, but sometimes when you're in the construction mode, some of the graphics glitch out a little bit. But you can kind of see. There's my building. It is on Alioth, so if anybody ever feels like flying by, they can. There's the big ship down below. You can see all the brakes and some of the thrusters and engines and stuff on there. See a few of my other ships. You can see there's the grav platform tower. I should actually go over there because I've kind of started building like a little break room and like a control tower type setup up there. Ooh, that was exciting. Whee! Okay, almost fell off. Okay, this is interesting. Oh. Okay, so I'm also a volunteer firefighter, so sometimes if you hear any of the little radios and stuff in the background, or if I look like I get distracted and I'm listening to that, just in case it's a call for me. In this particular case, not a call for me. Oh, here's my little ship. I just use this for making ore runs over to an area referred to as the quarry. There's a way that you can make some extra money that way. This is my little control tower area that I've been working on. And I need to hit the bathroom for a second. So I will be right back. And I'm back. Glad a few people are still here. Okay, so that was my little control tower. And if we go down here, I've been making a big elaborate observation platform. Still not done yet, but actually have these glass panels in the floor. And some of them, there's like a window in the side too, so you can't just run off the side of the deck, but not all of them have that. So if I went right through there, yeah, I could just walk off the edge. So this is mostly just me kind of stacking furniture out here. And then if we go back towards the back here, we have Flight Operations Lounge. And obviously I can't spell. Okay, so we'll fix that. Actually, we'll just go ahead and fix that right now. Hadn't even noticed that. That looks a little better. And here we have like a little set of quarters, bathroom, little quarters areas. And then over here, got a couple of other like little mini bedrooms. The pinup of the hottest babe in existence. For those of you who don't know, that was, here, I'll just go back over there. That's Claudia Christian, aka Commander Ivanova from the old TV show Babylon 5. I actually got a picture with her at Star Trek convention 2-ish years ago, a year and a half ago. She still looks really damn good. You know, that was 35 years ago. Set up like a little movie theater, some little artwork, and of course, they're always watching Babylon 5 here because it's an awesome show. And it offsets the boredom of the safety briefing table. Because what else would they be having a meeting doing? Of course, got a little Star Trek artwork. So that's that handy dandy little flight operations area. And I made myself like the emergency bailout here. You can just drop in. Ah-hoo-wee. So yeah, you're dropping 3,000 feet to the ground. But you've got your little rocket pack, so you can hit the brakes before you slam into the ground. This is kind of my little fuel refinery area. I keep a bunch of stuff. I don't know if it was something on the other servers or not. I don't remember it except for here. These guys made something called Kurgan H1 fuel that could just be made from pure hydrogen. But it took like 700 pure hydrogen to make 5 liters of whatever. But, of course, everybody set up all of the recycling units to just generate hydrogen and basically were creating free fuel. So they disabled the formulas for that. But they let us keep the fuel that we've already manufactured, and I have a ton of it. Let's see. I'm not even sure how much more of that fuel I have up here. Let's see, another 520 liters there. And then that's just my raw material supply. For a fun little bit of there. Fuel plant, no smoking, 200 meters. Because I had some other fuel refining here that I have scooted around. Yeah, I had mentioned some of the other little Lua scripting things here. These are like little status boards that can show me, okay, for example, the smelters that are making Mangaloy and titanium niobium superconductor are apparently missing raw materials. So let's go take a look. We need to go. I need to go shopping since I can't mine either of those materials. I don't have facilities for them. Uh, 12,000, 4,000, 30 liters. So columbite, I'm like down to nothing. And I don't think anybody's selling columbite. You can actually access the markets from anywhere. Or oh, there is some for sale. So I'm gonna grab a ship and get my butt over there and go buy some. Actually, what I can do, I can access the market. Kind of a nice feature, at least I like it. Columbite. I can go over here and say buy. Say I want to buy 20,000 liters. 3.6 million. Buy. Boom. Now it's in my little storage area. So if I go over there, I can just pick it up. So we will take off on the bigger ship and fly on over. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high. See, there's Snazzy landing platform. We'll just cruise on by there. Actually, just going to go ahead and shut my engines down here and coast for a little bit. It's another 14 kilometers still, but sometimes also 2,000 meters up. So I can afford a little bit of gliding. Just making sure I got a little downward angle of attack. Let's bump up the engines a bit. Yeah, one of the challenges you really got to watch out for is that sometimes it takes a minute for those buildings to draw in, and if they're a little on the taller side, you could very well crash into them. I don't know why it's being so touchy. There we go. Yeah, it looks like my parking place from last time is still there. Okay. And I have landed. Run downstairs, make sure I have my container set properly before I run in there. Please, if anybody has any questions about anything to do with the game, please drop them in the chat. I will be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. I am by no means a master of this game, but I've been playing for a little while, so I got a decent handle on it. Storage, Columbite. Okay, got that Columbite. It's actually barely even a dent in my capacity, so let's get a little extra. Or maybe we'll see if there's any of the others that we'd like to. We'll pick up a couple of the other aborted. That's weird. Never seen that before. Okay, that worked. Ooh, Road Knight, pricey. We'll just get a little bit. No Thorman, Vanadite. 159, so we can get some of that. Okay. So now we got a whole bunch of fancy metal and resources. And these are actually stuff I have for sale on the market, but it takes up storage space still. Okay, 259 tons of cargo. Not a problem. I can take off with about 1,000. Let's see. Yeah, if I bump that thing, you can actually see now what I have in my cargo and how much of my cargo space I'm taking up. Okay. Map. Home. Set destination. Should be back that way. And boom, we are lifting off. This particular instance, just kind of boost it out with a little extra engines to get altitude to make sure I clear those buildings. Little grav hover ship action. This almost looks like somebody built their base underwater. They have like a little landing platform on the top, and then it all is actually underneath. Kind of a fun little bit of detail there. Let's go a little nose up, slow it down. On the brakes. Brakes, brakes, brakes. Slowing it down. Bring it down to hover. Okay. Now our hover engines are holding us right now at 21 meters up. Get us down a little bit lower. Okay, now we are on the ground. Yay! Okay, getting up here. Up here. From that container. Oh, wrong one. One more up. There we go. Some extra vanadite. Some definitely needed some columbite. Ilmenite, which is getting a little low. Got plenty of the rhodonite. And now if we scoot over here, we will see that's probably our columbite processing there. Or, nope, niobium. Yeah. So it started this whole little mini adventure was that we needed some, that's the raw ore for columbite. There's actually it spits out. That's what you get when you process that pile of columbite. Go down here, and sure enough, let's see, vanadium, titanium, manganese, niobium. Yeah, 21 liters of niobium, so that's hardly any. I'm sure if we go down here, missing input components, because it needs pure niobium, which is still processing. Got plenty of the catalyst. Basically, it has to refine it into pure niobium, which then it will come down here, and the niobium will get mixed with titanium. So we need titanium and niobium. Once we have some more, we can see here, there's plenty of titanium available, but we were out of the niobium. So, unfortunately, that will take a few minutes. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to process a stack of niobium. What else is working down here? Ah, silver, canthite, cobalt. Okay, vanadium's good. And that's the niobium. Okay, 97 minutes to do one batch of niobium, so that's one of the things in this game is that some of the stuff, especially the more advanced materials, it definitely takes a little while for it to process. So having to, sometimes you just gotta wait so that you have the raw materials that you need. Most of the time, I only have, like each one of these is set to process a certain ore. I usually only have one for each ore type, just because the more advanced ores, it's very rare that you need a lot of them. Some of them you need just a few liters here and there to add to one thing that you're building. So you have plenty of time. And 24 hours from now, there'll be a decent pile of it, so I won't be worried about being out of it. But we definitely have a whole lot of stuff still assembling here. These are all little manufacturing units. There's like, extra small, medium, large, and they all have different things that they can make. Now, some of these things, there are missions that you can do that are just little industrial manufacturing. They're basically just like an order. In other words, somebody wants 9 tables. Okay, I go build the 9 tables, I drop them in there, it gives me a little bit of money. It's not so much as somebody as the game generates those, kind of as a way for players to make money, even if they are not out flying around doing stuff as much. So you can you can actually have revenue as a player who's more focused on industry and mining and things like that. Here's some examples of some hauling missions, and you can kind of see, gives you a breakdown of where to pick them up and how far it's going to be, how much it weighs, its volume, and then how much you get paid for doing that mission. If you've got a larger ship, some of these missions are actually quite lucrative. They used to have combat missions, they shut them off. Salvage missions, I could go out and do that, probably do that next stream. Basically, there are wrecked ships scattered around the solar system, and you can set it up to where you can go out and find them. And either basically repair them and fly them in, or you can strip them for parts and come back and sell or recycle the parts. And then the task one, there's kind of an ongoing thing where you can drop off raw ore at this place called the quarry, and they pay you for it, and you get some cash that way. But like that one, let's see, this one, I think this one also is working on something for a industrial quest. This right here is actually making maneuvering thrusters. I'm working on some fancier upgraded maneuvering thrusters for my ships. And rare freight space engines. This is for one of my other ships, same thing. It's upgrades for some of my ships. There are 5 grades of components. They're basic, uncommon, advanced, rare, and exotic. The higher level ones are usually more powerful, use less power, use less fuel, things of that nature. And yeah, I'm like halfway off of my screen. I didn't even notice. So in this case, this would be like a tier 4 engine for spaceflight, therefore more efficient and faster per unit of fuel. Same thing here. This is basically making another set of space engines, but they're in the larger versions that are used on larger ships. These are mining units. I can actually show you. These are mining units right here. So we go to this one right here. It is currently mining coal, and it's creating 446.49 liters per hour. So 1 hour of real time, I get a little input of coal. Same thing here. This one though is hematite, iron, bauxite, which is aluminum, and quartz, that are silicates. These ones here are not running, probably because the boxes are full. Oh, actually, they're disabled. Well, parts of it is acanthite, is the silver ore, and I've got a ton of it. I think I've also got a ton of limestone. So I shut off the mining units for a few minutes, and I'm burning up some of my backstock. Oh, my camera is doing odd things. So anyway, mining units. But to mine more advanced materials, you have to have the advanced or rare or exotic mining units. So this one's an uncommon mining unit that's being built, and a rare mining unit that is being built. Just because I'm going to need some for flying out to another planet. These are the extra large. I don't have anything currently manufacturing in them. I was putting together engines and parcel containers. There's ways that you can hire other players to move product around for you. And when they do that, they drop it at your parcel container. Which, let's see here. In my case, oops. So I get for thinking I could fly out of there. There we go. Oh, I think I took it all the way up to the top. Whee! There it is. This is my parcel container, and I put a little blinky light on there. And there's lots of room for somebody to land their ship, and then they can unload into this container. Right here, I've got a bunch of this polished wire iron, which I use for my little star base, my little space base. That's the material that most of the hull of that is made out of. So um, every so often, I'll get a big pile of it, and I'll call up and either I'll fly it out myself or I'll hire another player to move it out there so I can move other things that are more critical. There is also a way they could steal your cargo, and I figure that way, if they steal some, some iron hull material, no big deal. It's real cheap. I can make a ton more of it, and it's no real skin off my nose. Whereas if I made a bunch of mining or manufacturing units, I definitely would not want to lose those to somebody deciding to pilfer my cargo. Let's see. Did that. All our manufacturing seems to be running apace. Let's see. Okay. Missions, receivers, 144. Toilets, 338. So, 144. Transferred to my box. Not done with the toilets yet. So, the way that you turn in a industry mission, I mean, it'll be here in the list. In this case, it is the receiver, extra small, 144 pieces. I've got them. Click deliver. Boom. Done. And if we were to go look at my money, you can see received money from Aphelia. And part of this is like a refund on a deposit. And but that's the completion of mission, receiver extra small, refund of collateral for that receiver mission, and then activity reward, a little thing that gives us a little bit of cash every 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that. But yeah, you have a whole log, and hey, look, I have money. Set those to stop for now. Burns, some magnets. Oh, I need those uncommon injectors. I know I have some of those over here. Let's see, like here's the 500 in my output container, which is what I have it set to build to, so no problem. It's going to pull out like 300 of them, which means now it'll start making uncommon injectors again until it gets up to 500. And the inputs for this should be here. We can just drop it over there, and since it already has a pile for them, it'll just add it to that pile. And wait, what other inputs are missing? Oh, oops. Okay, that one's not pulling from here. So, we'll take out our 300 uncommon injectors. Go over here. Uncommon injectors. One. Not anymore. Boom. There we go. Now we're running again. Okay, so that's all happening. These are also like electronics assembly units. I'm working on these ore scanners, which are a subcomponent that I need for building those large mining units. Oh, what is this one missing? Uncommon electronics. And here we have uncommon electronics. Oops. Shut off the sign. And we will go through it and verify that we are indeed assembling more uncommon electronics. Yep, so every 51 seconds I get another unit of uncommon electronics. Hey, Robert. Yes, I kind of am China and Amazon all at once, as well as, I don't know, Boeing, minus the whole door flying off problem. Yeah, whenever you want to play, I got a free key with your name on it. And I've got tons of components for building ships, so I can have you set up in minutes. Well, you're supposed to tell me before you do that. Mm-hmm. So, Robert, have you, or excuse me, Mr. Paradox, have you popped into any of my streams before? Well, anyway, um, when you put the pointer on the ship, it shows you the name of the ship. It might sound familiar. You hadn't heard of Arknight's Enfield or this game, Dual Universe? I know you've heard of Dual Universe. I've told you about it before. So, I guess I might as well give you a little quickie nickel tour. Ships come in 5 sizes. There are extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large. This is an example of an extra small. amusingly enough, this particular one has all of the appropriate engines that can actually fly in space. I could fly this thing to the next planet if I wanted to. Well, this way you get to take a look at it. So, cool. Yeah, it's only running on private servers these days. The company that was running the game pretty much cast it off. They are supporting it. Like there was an exploit that was discovered a couple of weeks back, and the original developer did patch it and roll that out so that the people running private servers could still do their thing. Let's see, an example of a small ship. This is a small here. This is just like a little ore shuttle. Kind of cute. I got a little sign on there. It's I'd have to update it, but it's like shows what's being carried in cargo. There's a little cockpit. I'm not sure which one will be the. Oh, and now it's off. So, whatever. This is a small core ship. In this particular one, it's kind of a warp-capable shuttle. So think like a little runabout, although this particular one is unarmed. I have an armed space-only model. It's actually not capable of atmospheric flight. But it's got guns and shields. So that one is... I know right now, I want to say they've got about 1,000 accounts on here. At any given time, there's probably 50 or 80 people playing. I think when I popped on, it was like 58. So, small core. Of all my designs, this one's probably one of the more stable and better flying units or ships that I've built. It just comes out really balanced. It handles really nicely. It's pretty quick. And then here's your little pilot seat. So we can just wander out of there, down the little ramp. Now, these two here are both medium core ships. This one here is pretty much my daily driver. That's what I use the most. A couple of big cargo modules. This is a mission terminal, so I can. There's certain missions you have to be able to turn in while you're out and about. Fuel tanks, engines. These are little flight surfaces. These are braking systems. Which, amusingly enough, some of the brakes and stuff like that don't necessarily have to be exposed to outside air to work, but I guess they can't get everything right. And if we hop on the elevator, this is the cockpit area for this particular ship, the Hesperus. The HUD system that I was using stopped working from an update, but apparently there is fixes available now. I just have not applied them yet. And over here, this big bad boy is a large core ship. Notice I have another small core ship sitting here in this little bay. The idea behind this one was making a basically a carrier type ship that would be able to, and in this case, those bays are sized so that I can fit one of these in each bay. I have some other smaller fighters that I could easily put 2 or 3 of them in a bay. So in that way, hypothetically, I could fly this out somewhere and dump off up to like 12 small combat craft to attack something. But each one of those fighters would actually have to have a human pilot. There is no like AI pilots or anything like that in here. So, hopped in that little open doorway. Here's a engine area for this big bad boy. Bunch of fuel tanks, bunch of engines, some lights. This here's a shield generator. Anti-grav reactor that will basically allows the ship to be able to hover indefinitely. I can basically shut off the engines, even log off, and it'll stay in hover mode. This is where the main ship core is like inside this cube. Gold has one of the highest like hit points to mass ratios, so people use it a lot when they want to armor something. For example, ammunition storage. So I've got basically, these are little ammo magazine modules that then go out to the various guns, and they're embedded in this big block of gold to soak up some damage if need be. Vertical thrusters for takeoff, warp drive. This is actually my fuel container for the warp drive. Carrying warp cells, basically expensive fuel. And then we have this is the bridge area. You don't need any windows because it switches to an exterior view. But that's the pilot seat. And then these two back guns are the small cannons, forward and rear, and the rail guns. I can kind of show you that here in a second. This is our little observation deck. It is up on top of the ship. So we're actually standing on top, as you can see. And this bad boy right here is one of the rail guns. This is a large rail gun. It is pretty much one of the heaviest weapons in the game. And these are extra small cannons. As one might surmise, the smaller weapons traverse more quickly, therefore are more useful for engaging small craft and stuff like that. Whereas these guys, the rail guns and such, it would take it, it might take it 20 seconds to swing around 90 degrees. So it's not much good for chasing a fighter, but it's great for blowing holes in big ships. You can see here's our little bubble. And all of this is inside the shields when the shields are on. These are braking systems, some engines poking out, rear cannons. And there's another railgun and 4 more cannons on the bottom. And from the back, you can see all of the old engines and such. No, you cannot muzzle load the railgun. And since rubber's on now, we'll just go through this. Kind of all my manufacturing areas going on. This, since the anti-grav ships hover at 1,000 meters, is a 1,000-meter tall tower. So, and I actually have a little grav cargo ship that's sitting up there on top of there that I use for shuttling ore around. Clovis Holstein would be very disappointed, yes. Okay, now here we are on that top deck. And if we walk over to the edge, you get a lovely view of the surrounding area. As you can see, some of my neighbors are far fancier than I. And there's another little fancy neighbor out there. There's quite a few bases out here. And these are all just people that play on this private server. Amusingly enough, I don't know the Lua scripting well enough to do space elevators, but there are people who have built space elevators. They do them in several different ways. Like one of the standard things that they will do is they'll build it on that bottom platform, and they'll make a little dock point on this 1,000-meter platform. And so they'll have a button basically saying, "Bink, go to 1,000 meters," and it will fly up and park itself at 1,000 meters. And then on the other side, they will build a platform in orbit, and it will fly straight up and down all the way up to orbit and back. So it is done. I'm not sure of anybody that's. I'm not sure if any of the players are still around at this moment that are building those space elevators, but they do exist. And that's actually one of the things you have to kind of watch out for. Every once in a while, you'll see a platform kind of hovering out there near like what would be a geostationary orbit type of situation, and you could, if you're not paying attention, you could run into it. Here's one of my little ore shuttles. These are just some storage containers where I store ore that's being shuttled back and forth. And here we have my like little, it's not functional, it's just decoration, but like a little control tower for the landing area here. And we go down this little ramp here. I'm working on a big observation deck. We've got glass floor, so you can actually look down. There's my base, 1,000 meters down. And then I made like a little area CD. Flight Operations Lounge. We can close the door if we want. And then in here we got like a little bathroom, shower, and a little bathroom area. And we got some little crew quarters, some appropriate decorations. This one with the Smokin' Hottie pinup. Of course, at the movie theater area, they're watching Babylon 5. And put the little lounge chairs out here where you can just kind of sit and enjoy the view. There are a few little bits of PvE stuff. I think some of it is offline at the moment. I know they were working on something as part of it. Like I mentioned, that there's like a little mission terminal. Most of it's just shipping missions, and there's a few like little task-based things. But most of the serious combat situations or anything like that are going to be PvP. It's not very often though. I mean, I've been playing this game on and off for 2 years. I've been in about 5 fights, and I think I lost 4 of them. So it's not a common thing, at least not for me, to be engaged in combat. But it is out there, and if you wish to seek it out, there are plenty of opportunities to seek it out. Just because a lot of the players are kind of peaceniks that like to build big fancy bases more so than fight. Yeah, there are PvE combat missions, but they are, like I said, they're offline at the moment. That's as of like a week ago. Planets. Let me show you the planets. Okay, this is the planet map for the planet that I'm on, Alioth. And there's a little library thing here. It kind of gives you some of the specs of terrain and gravity and what resources might be found on the planet. Where we go to system map, and each one of those is a planet, and some of them also have moons. So, for example, if we zoom in here, here's Alioth itself, Sanctuary. There's another one hiding back there that's Alioth Moon 4. There, now you can kind of see it. Felly, Haven. Haven is actually the starting planet. And with the warp drives, granted they're kind of expensive fuel-wise, but they go a lot faster to where, for example, if you're going to one of these outer planets, especially some of these outer planets, you can set warp point and you can jump drive you out there. And I want to say it takes about 10 minutes real time to cover the distance from Alioth to Ion in warp. Whereas if you were trying to fly out in normal space, even with a really, really fast ship, it would probably take like 6 hours. But you can get there. And what some people do, because if you're flying in normal space, it's a lot cheaper, like a lot cheaper, because you'll basically, there is a speed limit on the ships. I know, physics fail. Of like 60,000 kilometers an hour and stuff like that. I think it depends on weight and like stuff like that. I think my ship fully loaded, its top speed is something like 51,000 kilometers an hour. So to fly out to like Ion, yeah, it would take like 6 hours, but sometimes I will set it up and say, okay, I'm heading for Ion. It's going to be taking 6 hours, so I just, I take off when I have some, fire department training to go do or things like that. So, and I'm going to be gone for 4 hours anyway. Come home, check on my progress, go make some lunch, all of that kind of stuff. And then eventually you get there. I've also done a couple of times where I just kind of adjusted my speed to where I knew it would be like 8 hours and I would actually launch myself heading for an outer planet and then go to sleep. Set my alarm. Go from there. And each planet, if you click on it, you can pop up a little thing here. And once again, it gives you some examples of what resources you might find there. Gravity, see, like for example, Thades is 50% gravity. So it makes it's easier to take off from one of those planets with a heavy load. And you shift back to your base while the ship is flying somewhere. Sort of. There are VR terminals. And I can actually show you real quick. Yeah. Falling damage is not a thing, so whee! Yes, I'm like falling a kilometer to the ground. Although there is like a little jetpack, so I can kind of stop myself right before I start slamming into things. And we gently touch down. So, just as a for example here, see, like this is the little VR receiving side VR platform. This is the outbound, and if we click on that, yeah, all of my state bases are called like sushi something. So let's just say, the planet that I had tagged called Ion. Sushi Ion Cryo. Click connect, and it goes to the surrogate VR station. And now, I'm on Ion. Now, there are only a few things that I can do, and Yeah, death from above. Um, so the resources on this planet are kind of limited, but one of them, cryolite, is particularly valuable. Acanthite, not so much, but I'm kind of one of those, might as well mine it somewhere. And what is my current cryolite pile looking like? 55,000 liters. So hypothetically, I can't really I can't do a lot of the manufacturing and things like that out here because it like won't let me interact with but it will let me interact with mining units, or I can shuffle cargo between boxes and some of that kind of stuff. So I could reload raw materials that feed a manufacturing unit, but I can't do anything to the manufacturing unit itself. I can't change what it's producing. But this is on the planet Ion. So it's basically just a little mining base. And then I can just, boom, exit, leave surrogate session. So you can't do everything, but you can do a few things, and you can at least like check on stuff. So that way you can find out when there is a need to make a visit in person to say pick up a load of ore, things of that nature. Let's see. Sushi station. I have a space station as well. And this is the space station. This right here is what they call a tactical warp beacon. So I can warp destinations are basically just planets or warp beacons. So it is set up so that with this warp beacon is configured so that I can warp to my space station. And if we, these are recycling tools. It's a pretty big place. Okay, little package thing. So when I have people drop off raw materials, that's where it works. But I'm gonna, let's see, toggle blinking. There. I like it when it blinks. Okay, out here on this little platform, we have some of my my other like little fighters that I've built. Now, this particular fighter here is atmosphere capable. These smaller engines are atmospheric engines, but they're like not enough to be particularly fast. He's got way more engine for space than he does for flying, but at least it can fly itself up here. So if I just wanted something to drive around, I could hop in this and let's see. Nope, yeah, see, it's like surrogate session won't let me get in the cockpit. Here we have kind of a heavy fighter version here, a couple of cannons, top and bottom, and these are lasers, little laser turrets. You can actually hop up here and kind of go inside. And this is actually where you access the cockpit. Amusingly enough, the cockpit, notice, is not exposed. Even though it's kind of supposed to be like the cockpit lifts up for you to get inside. But you access it here, you click on it, you go inside, and you can still see outside, even though the cockpit itself is completely enclosed in hull material. And then here we have my little space runabout one that I was telling you about that is basically the same ship with guns and shields. As you can see, we got a little chin gun there, gun there, gun there. But you walk up via a little ramp, and that little bad boy right there is a shield generator. Ammo storage, fuel. I don't have to have the atmospheric engines or the fuel for the atmospheric engines. So a little more sparse inside here. Access to be able to get in and repair from the inside if an engine's damaged and stuff. But circuit session, I can't turn it on, but otherwise I could do that. So, and in this case, we have pilot seat, gunner seat. So this guy is the one shooting all the guns, whereas this guy is just flying. I could set them up with cockpits that would allow the yeah. So I'm doing it manually here. I had it set up. I'm not sure what happened to it. I'll have to fix that one of these days. So we have like a little force field there that's now covering the gap in the front of the ship. But I can just flip those on and off so that it acts like a ramp to get up inside. So that would be kind of my gunboat version of the same hull. I should say a space-only gunboat. Because this does not have any wings. It doesn't have any of the atmospheric engines. But it's got a lot more space engines, so it's a lot faster in space. I got a couple of big platforms around it. Okay, this one is another ship that I have up here that I use for running around doing little space missions. And this one's kind of using the same little cockpit assemblies. I mainly use this for mining, asteroid mining, and salvage operations. It's pretty much just a little utility cargo hauler for the base. That out there is Alioth in the distance, right there, where it's got the little yellow target location for a destination. But yeah, it has the little cockpit thingies there. Plus, you can also drop down inside. And there's some inside access to cargo spaces and what have you. That's the core. Fuel, engines. And that's a warp drive. They've got these little mini warp drive bubble thingies that it's kind of cheating, but it works. And a mission terminal. I should put an asteroid tracker on this. That's actually something I need to get started on, is a couple more asteroid trackers. But if we flip around here, it's a pretty big place. I'm working on like that. There's going to be a second floor in here, and I'm going to start putting in a bunch more manufacturing and refining facilities up here in space. Because if you're mining asteroids, one of the biggest fuel burns is getting stuff, out of the atmosphere or down to the planet's surface. So if I can do asteroid mining, and I'll manufacture the ore refining equipment and bring it up here. I actually have some here already. Oh yeah, and I'm floating. Yeah, you can kind of fly around, but come on down. So I do already have some of the refining and smelting equipment in place. Um, some fuel processing. And these here, like this little guy here, and this is something specific to this server. It's a salvage unit, which I can't interact with. But basically the idea is that I can salvage a bunch of materials, because like a lot of the stuff when you find a derelict ship, a lot of it's damaged and things like that. So it's not necessarily going to be good for you to put on a ship, because it would be destroyed the next time it got hit. So you load it in here, you run it through, and this little device here will process it and spits out raw materials into the other bin. And all of this stuff here is all stuff that was harvested out of ships. But just as a for example, you'll notice here when I hover over it, if you look at the description, it says this item has, not dynamic, but these elements can be restored 0 more times. So it's not going to, if it gets damaged again, I can't repair it. So it kind of turns it into a throwaway component. So if I just needed to throw something on to repair a ship and get it going again, sure, it's fine. Or especially like on bases, container that can't be repaired, no big deal. The odds of it actually getting damaged are tiny. But I know, like some of the stuff, like a polycarbonate, I wouldn't want to, and processors, frames, I wouldn't want to recycle those. Yes, there are a bunch of derelict ships floating around. In fact, if I were to go to a mission terminal, I don't know if I can interact with a mission terminal. Okay, well, let me run it. It gives you a whole list of like radar contacts for derelict ships, but I would have to be myself here in person to go looking for them. So I only have 2 platforms out here. I do have some of the materials to do a couple more. I don't even have a door on this wall. So definitely no platform on that side, at least not yet. And then all of these large storage containers. See here, I've got more storage containers. I've got metalworking, assembly lines, thrusters, adjusters, guns, a whole bunch of light fixtures, luminescent glass, luminescent white glass. Just as a fun for example, the frame around this door that I'm coming at is the luminescent white glass. So it does throw light and also makes it nice. You can also do things like around the edges of the platform. I've gone through and installed that luminescent white glass so that the edges of the platform glow. and you can see them a little bit better when you're bringing the ship in. You can also see that the lights kind of blink on and off to act as a little bit of a beacon so that people can see them. Fun side note, if you really, really, really wanted to, you could actually jump off of this in your spacesuit, fly all the way back over to that planet, and you can survive re-entry because you just have to go slow. I mean, it would probably take 12 hours to fly over there in my spacesuit, but you could do it. Yeah, I actually kind of like this little ship. It's once again not the prettiest thing, but it's very, very fast. So it's a great for running down derelict ships or scooting around to asteroids to go mining. Yeah, a lot of it's just that your spacesuit. I'm not sure if you can actually somehow accelerate up to 1200 kph. If you're over 1100, you'll start seeing like little red plasma, from re-entry. If you're going over like 13 or 1400, you'll actually start taking damage to your hull and exposed components. So I think usually it's just that nobody's flying that fast with their little spacesuit. And if they did, it would be very easy to slow down and be at a safe speed for re-entry. Okay, leaving surrogate session. Yeah, it also makes it nice if you can use a surrogate session to kind of go over there and look around and plan. If you're like, okay, I want to do this next, so I'm going to need these parts and load them onto my ship and bring them all out. Haven is actually the starting planet. I do have a little base there still. It's mostly just a mining platform. And I hardly ever come here, so there are mountains of raw materials here from and I do have some ore processing and things like that going on. So see, like 37,000 liters of coal, 542,000 liters of coal. So this one here is like slowly refilling off of the mining units. And they are running. You can calibrate mining units. They changed this like little mini game that they used to have, and they made it a lot easier because it was kind of obnoxious otherwise. What I've been meaning to do is that there is some really, really advanced materials that just use ridiculous amounts of resources, and I was going to set it up to where, they're called something sparks. Yeah, plasma sparks. So, for example, if I want to make a basic plasma spark, I need 400,000 liters of carbon, 400,000 of silicon, 400,000 aluminum, 400,000 pure iron, which makes this one little chunk. which is a plasma spark, and then you will put a bunch of sparks together to make a plasma essence, which is used for some of the more advanced, the exotic components. All need plasma essence. Most of the set, you can't actually do combat on the planets. They're in a safe zone, and my base even is in a safe zone. Now, when you go to those outer planets, there is a safe bubble right around the planet for about 400 kilometers. And when you warp there, you come out of warp inside that bubble. So you don't get screwed with much. And most of the people that are playing on this server are people that already played a lot. There are a couple of jerks, but most of them tend to be very industrialist types. So they usually don't screw. No, they don't screw with you. And don't get me wrong; they're perfectly capable of screwing with you. And part of the reason why I have fighters up here on this base is that I do want to eventually get into a thing where I can go pick some fights. I'll probably get my ass handed to me, but at the same time, I can, work at it a little bit. Move my camera, see if that's better. Because I keep scooting off of my camera. Come on. There's a little lag in the whole process, so I know what you guys are seeing is actually like 30 seconds to a minute behind what I'm doing. And my camera is being challenging. Well, I know I moved the camera. You should be able to see it. But anyway, plasma sparks. So I could hypothetically set this all up to where it slowly accumulates the resources, and every time it gets 400,000 of everything. Generally speaking, if a ship gets destroyed, well, one of two things will happen. Either, like, if you are killed, because your ship can be killed without killing you. Like if all the engines are blown out and they blow out the core, the ship's dead. Yes, I am using OBS. I've got a little cheapy webcam that's glitching out here. Now, if you were to crash, say you ran out of fuel and, as you were on final approach, then you would run into a situation where you've got a wrecked ship that's sitting on the surface of the planet, and probably nobody's going to mess with it. So you could just fly over there, your dead body will reappear at your base. You grab another ship and some repair materials, you fly over there, and you repair it enough that you can get it off the ground and fly it back to your base. Now, if somebody kills your ship and or you, now if you die in the process, then yeah, you could, you'll just reappear at a base. If you are not killed, they're probably going to board you and kill you. There is some, like, in-person combat situations. Let's see. It looks like my camera may be frozen. Okay. Well, looks like my camera is frozen. So, probably a good time to be hunting for a new camera anyway, especially if I'm going to be doing this with any frequency whatsoever. And I have been doing it for 2.5 hours today. So, I would say since I'm having technical difficulties, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night here. And um, if anybody is particularly interested, like I said, Marquee Dragon sells the keys, or you can buy them directly from the Dual Universe website. You do have to buy the client software, but the server-side software is free for any of the public servers that people are running right now. I play on Settlers. It's great. The guys who run it are extremely accessible on their Discord and more than happy to help. So I would say good night, and everybody game on. Talk to you later. Bye.